Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Are you ready for a deep dive into a thriller that explores the dark side of guilt and regret?
Ooh, sounds intense.
It is, and today we're looking at You'll Do As You're Told by Craig Wesley Wall.
Okay, I've heard of this one. It's got that creepy farmhouse and abandoned mental asylum, right?
You got it. If you haven't read it, you can find the link to the book on Amazon in the description. Hit that like button and subscribe if you're into this kind of stuff.
Always.
All right, so we've got a lot of material to work with here, excerpts from the book, police reports, interviews, even some old newspaper clippings.
Wow, that's a lot to undangle.
It is, but that's why you're here. Help us connect the dots, maybe uncover some hidden meanings.
I'm ready. What really grabbed me from the start was that mystery surrounding those missing paranormal investigators.
Right. That footage they found is chilling. Like, remember Devin Donner, the dairy barn, rain is pouring, you hear these weird tapping sounds. The whole scene is just dripping with dread.
Ugh, yeah.
And then Devin starts talking to something we can't even see, asking if it dies in the asylum, if it was mistreated there.
That's creepy. So, what are we supposed to believe there's a ghost? Or some kind of vengeful spirit?
Well, the author doesn't give us any easy answers. Instead, we're left with these chilling questions. Who or what is Devin talking to?
And why is he apologizing? It's like he's seeking forgiveness.
Exactly. He even says something like, I was just a kid, like it wasn't his fault. What was he talking about?
Well, don't we find out later about that trauma in his past? The accident with his little sister?
Oh, you're right. You're thinking he feels guilty about her death, and maybe that guilt is somehow attracting this unseen presence.
Maybe. It's like the story is connecting our past traumas to these supernatural events.
Definitely food for thought. And right when the tension is at its peak, the camera gets knocked over. You hear Devin crying, struggling, then silence.
Oh man, that gives me chills just thinking about it.
And don't forget his friends vanish soon after, too. It leaves this lingering sense of dread, like whatever got Devin is still out there.
Yeah, it's definitely effective at building suspense. But then we get to Ray Arthur, the new owner of the farmhouse. He's looking for a fresh start, oblivious to the dark history.
Such a contrast. He's like walking into a nightmare totally unaware.
It's like a classic horror movie trope. You know something bad is about to happen, but the character has no clue.
Exactly. And things don't stay peaceful for long. Remember Joyce Herbert, the real estate agent? Her encounter in the basement?
Oh yeah, she's filming a walkthrough when, bam, she sees her dead childhood friend, even that friendship bracelet Joyce gave her years ago. Talk about vivid details.
Totally. What struck you about that scene?
Well, for me, it was how the author used that specific detail, the bracelet, to blur the line between reality and hallucination.
Yeah, it makes her fear, and maybe even her descent into madness, more believable.
Absolutely. And then we have Court, the neighbor, always looking around, trying to warn people away. Definitely gives off a stay away vibe.
Right? It's like he knows something's wrong, something about the house and that asylum, but he's scared to talk.
Almost like he's seen too much. And then, to make things even creepier, we get that scene with the home inspector's van abandoned and the phone footage showing his eyeless face. Nightmare fuel.
Oh, for sure. That scene was a turning point, wouldn't you say? Like it confirmed something truly sinister was happening.
Totally. It takes the story from creepy to straight up terrifying.
It definitely raises the stakes. If someone just doing their job becomes a victim, who's next, right?
Exactly. It makes you worry for everyone involved.
So Ray decides to dig into the history of the property and finds the story of Harold Kelleher, that logger from the 1800s.
Oh yeah, the one who went mad and killed his wife, thought the forest demanded a sacrifice.
That line still haunts me. I did as I was told. I fit him to the woods. He's now a part of this forest. Like he was listening to some evil voice.
Right, like something in the woods was driving him to madness. It makes you wonder if history is repeating itself, you know?
It does. Like the woods themselves are infected with evil. And speaking of infected, what was your reaction when they found those bodices of film reels in that bunker behind the house?
I was hooked. Talk about a window into the dark secrets of the past.
And what they reveal is truly messed up. We see Dr. Hoffman, the former owner and asylum doctor, conducting these disturbing experiments.
It's not just supernatural anymore, right? It's human cruelty, scientific ambitions gone wrong.
Exactly. The story shifts and says that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we create ourselves.
Those film reels, they focus on this young patient called Patient 217, and she's covered in this moss-like substance.
Yeah.
It's like it's controlling her.
Uh-huh.
She's aggressive, wants to escape into the wood.
It's like something straight out of science fiction, isn't it?
It is. And then there's her reaction to the rain.
Oh, yeah.
Even the sound of it just sets her off.
What'd you think about that? What is it about the rain?
I don't know. Is it like the moss feeding off the moisture or something? It's so bizarre.
Totally. And then you got Dr. Lossman, the guy behind all these experiments. He seems more interested in just watching this transformation happen than actually helping her.
Yeah, that's what's so creepy about him.
Right.
He treats patient 217 like a lab rat, not a human.
There's no empathy there at all. It's really disturbing.
Yeah.
I remember that one scene where he, intentionally exposes her to the rain. even though he knows it's going to make her violent.
Oh, I remember that.
It's like he's crossed a line, from just scientific curiosity to something much darker.
It is. It makes you think, how far is too far when it comes to science?
Exactly. Are we so focused on pushing boundaries that we forget about the consequences?
Right.
And speaking of consequences, remember Loney, the nurse?
Oh,
The
yeah.
one who saw her dead sister in the asylum bathroom?
Uh-huh.
It's like this moss, or whatever's behind it all. It's using people's guilt against them,
Yeah, preying on their trauma.
their deepest fears. And then Ray starts experiencing things himself.
Yeah.
He sees his dead son.
Oh, gosh.
Find that weird black and green goo dripping from the ceiling.
Like the horror is closing in on him now.
Yeah, what do you think about those visions?
Well, they seem tied to his grief, right? Losing his son, he never really dealt with that trauma.
That's a good point. Like, it made him vulnerable somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, things escalate when Ray, Court, and those police officers run into Officer Brandt in the asylum.
Oh, man, that was intense. He's completely changed. Eyes are gone, acting like an animal.
It's like whatever happened to those investigators is happening to him now.
Yeah, no one's safe.
And then he attacks Court. Ray has to kill him to save him.
So much violence, the tension just keeps building.
Yeah, and then they find Officer Stewart covered in that moss
Out of it, yeah.
and that pile of bodies deep in the asylum.
Including Officer Paul, right? The body count is getting high.
It's not just disappearances anymore. It's something much bigger.
And then that chamber under the asylum, remember? Filled with that pulsating goo.
Oh, yeah, like the source of all this evil.
It's been there a long time, feeding off people's fear.
And then Joyce disappears.
Oh, no.
Did you catch those clues Ray finds?
What, like that drawing she did as a kid?
Yeah, Lydia surrounded by flames.
And that inscription, she did as she was told.
Chilling, isn't it? Like a parallel to Devon's experience.
They're both being targeted, their trauma used against them.
And that friendship bracelet.
It keeps popping up.
It gives me chills.
I know, it's like a symbol of her guilt.
So Ray and Court, they're racing against time to save her.
Following that trail of black goo.
Right to the operating room.
Back to where it all began.
And that's where they see it, the true nature of this entity.
It's not what I was expecting.
Me neither. Not just a being, but this huge blob of moss erupting from the floor.
Crazy, like something out of a nightmare.
And it's been manipulating everything, drawing people to the asylum, feeding off them.
Like a puppet master.
And then the entity offers Ray that deal, kill Joyce and you get your son back.
Oh, that's messed up.
I know. What a horrible choice.
You could feel the agony, right?
Totally. Like the weight of the world on his shoulders.
What did you think he was going to do? It was a brutal choice. I mean, would he really sacrifice Joyce to get his son back?
Well, the author, he really throws us a curveball. Just when you think Ray's going to give in, he has this vision of David.
Oh, wow.
And David, he's wearing that green windbreaker, but he's warning Ray, saying the entity is lying.
Wow, it's powerful. Like, even in the darkest moments, there's still a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, and Ray, he snaps out of it, finds the strength to resist, and manages to shoot the entity.
But is it really that easy? I mean, can you just shoot a giant blob of moss and call it a day?
Well, their escape is pretty intense. The fire they set is spreading, the asylum's falling apart around them.
Oh, gosh.
And they have to carry Court, who's hurt and maybe infected with that moss stuff.
It's a fight for survival.
Yeah, they barely make it out alive. And even then, there's that question, are they really free?
That ending, man, it's so unsettling. Court with those disturbing dreams.
Yeah, like he's back in the tunnel, but Joyce is covered in that black goo.
And Ray has turned into this monstrous creature.
It's like a nightmare he can't wake up from.
Right, the author leaves us wondering, did they actually escape or are they still trapped somehow?
It's a haunting ending for sure. So what do you think? What's the takeaway from all this?
For me, it's about how our past can come back to haunt us, and how ambition, whether it's scientific or personal, can lead us down dark paths.
It's a good reminder to be careful what we wish for, right? And that sometimes the real monsters are closer than we think.
Definitely.
Well, thank you for bringing this book to our attention. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, it has.
And to all our listeners, what did you think? What was your favorite creepy moment? Do you think Ray, Joyce, and Court are really free? Let us know in the comments below.
And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the strange and mysterious world of books.
We'll see you next time.